Are you nervous? Hey guys, and welcome to this installment of Mike's Vehicle Vlogs. Today we're going to be doing another driving habits vlog, and I am here with my good friend Dennis.
Hello.
So as we have been doing in a lot of the other previous driving habits vlogs, I'm going to be asking Dennis the most common questions that I've been asking everybody else during this segment. And as I've explained before, you know, once I decide to wrap up this, we're going to take a look back and see exactly how many people said this to each question, and we'll just see exactly how everybody's driving habits differ in one way or another. So let's begin. I lost my questions. Here we go. This is kind of awesome. I can see the tires in the mirror. So guys, as you can see, we have experienced another snowstorm over the last couple of days. So the snow has yet returned. It comes back, it goes away, it comes back, it goes away, it comes back. Look at all the snow over here. It's like lots of snow. All right, so Dennis.
Yes.
The first question that I've been asking everybody is, like, do you usually wear your seatbelt?
Yes, I do. Have lately. I will admit, in the past with my other vehicle, I didn't. And most of the time, I didn't wear it around town. If I was jumping on the highway or leaving town, I would put it on. If I was going from place to place real quick, I wouldn't throw it on.
Okay, and then do you usually wear your seatbelt for safety, or is it more of like a comfort thing?
I'd probably say for safety.
Because I asked for the comfort thing because I know I honestly can't drive without my seatbelt, because I feel like without the seatbelt I'm like floating away from the seat in a way.
Actually, like, you know, me being a bus driver, you know, you almost feel naked without it, you know. Because when I'm on a bus and I'm driving, it's like it's my job. I have to wear my seatbelt. But when I'm driving, like I've noticed when I'm driving, like while I'm in the parking lot, and I don't throw it on, because I don't need to throw it on while I'm in the parking lot. But I've noticed that I feel naked without it. It's like I almost need it on, because it's like I can tell it's not on.
Okay, and then if anybody else is usually in the car with you, do you make them wear their seatbelt, or do you just not really care about what they do?
Not really. I mean, I figure it's their ticket, you know. If they get in my car and they don't, you know, I don't make anybody wear it, but you know, if we get pulled over and they get a ticket, that's their responsibility, I believe.
So you're not like one of the people who are like, you know, you got to put the seatbelt on before we even move an inch,
no.
kind of thing.
But this truck won't allow you to leave without the two front seats. Like the dinger will go off if you're not wearing. The two front seats aren't wearing a seatbelt.
Guys, I'm very sorry about the lighting in this. There's a lot of white outside, and it's really casting a shadow whenever I film Dennis. It might show up better on the actual like computer rather than what it looks like on the screen. So okay, now the next question that I have is, it's actually kind of like more so like a demonstration, but like typically, like when you drive your truck, like what's your normal driving position? Like how do you usually hold the wheel? How do you usually like what's comfortable to you when you drive your vehicle?
Well, I believe they usually say 10 and 2, but if I'm driving my truck and I'm around town, I have cups right there now, but probably just like, you know, if I need to, I can just quickly put my hand back up on the steering wheel. But this is basically it. You know, sometimes I might have a little lower, but.
So, do you usually follow the speed limit? Like, do you ever catch yourself like unintentionally speeding, or do you pay close attention to that stuff?
Well, I would like to say that I follow the speed limit, but I think I'm more of I go with the flow of traffic. You know, if I feel like I've been on most of the roads around my house so long, it's like you could tell the flow. You could tell of like how fast it's gonna go or how slow you should go.
Are you one person who pays attention to like the gauges, or are you somebody who just like doesn't have to look at the speedometer a whole lot to follow the flow of traffic or whatnot?
I pay attention to the gauges. I'm always looking, especially like I'm always, you know, I don't know if it's because I'm a bus driver, but I'm always looking out for police. Like I'm always a very cautious individual, so like I'm always like checking to see, well, if I got stopped, would I give them any reason to stop me, or so I continue to look at my speedometer.
So are you somebody who ever shows like any signs of like road rage? If somebody ever cut you off, like do you get really vengeful, or are you just like, whatever, you know?
Oh yeah, I don't like it when people cut me off, especially in my new vehicle. It's like I just want to follow them down, follow them to their house, and you know, you ever seen that movie Walking Tall?
I've heard about it. I've never seen it though.
Oh, he has a stick, like not a stick, but like a 2x4 in his back window. It's like I'd pull that 2x4 out. No, yeah, I do get mad. I'll honk at them or something, and I'll let them know what they did was not right. But yeah, I get road rage. I don't like to admit it all the time, but I do.
Do you ever like get really close to people? Like if somebody cut you off, do you like tailgate them, or?
No,
that's what my mom does. my mom does that.
I don't know if I would do that. I'd be too afraid that they'd stop and get out, and then when it actually came to it, I don't know if I would. I probably would avoid the situation. You know, I can't go around getting into fights.
It's like even if you did that, and somebody, if they tried to do like if they stopped really quick and then you ran into them, it's obviously going to be your fault anyway. So I never really saw the point of actually tailgating somebody if
because
they...
if they slam on the brakes, you know, because they might try and do the same stuff back to you. If they slam on the brakes, you're going to get stopped and you're going to get cited because that's assured clear distance.
Yep. That's it. I know we don't have the radio on now because of copyright reasons. But do you typically listen to music in the car? And if so, do you usually have it loud, or do you kind of keep it at a pretty reasonable volume to hear your like outside surroundings or anything?
Oh no, it's usually loud. I don't. I mean, sometimes there's been instances where I've seen like ambulances or fire trucks, and it's like, oh, I didn't see them until the last second, you know. So yeah, I usually have it blaring. I love my music.
Me too, brother. Me too. So anyway, I'll take a quick break from the questions here, and maybe we'll just have some normal discussion about a couple things. But as Dennis mentioned a little bit ago, he is actually a bus driver. That's what he does, and I just kind of want you to maybe tell us, you know, kind of for those of us who don't drive a larger vehicle like a bus or a semi or something, like what's really like the difference in driving a vehicle like this truck compared to a bus? Like, do you feel like you have to be more cautious, or does it really just come natural? Do you just drive it the same way you drive this car? I mean,
Well, when I first started driving the bus, I was very cautious. I was nervous. I thought I was going to hit everything, especially because of the back. They call it the tail whip, or the tail. You got to watch when you're going around a corner, like you don't hit like a car or something on the side of the road. When you're turning, so you gotta constantly watch the back of your tail so that you're not hitting anything or hitting a stop sign. Say if I'm at a stop sign, I'm making a left-hand turn. If I make too wide of a turn or too short of a turn, I might hit the stop sign with my tail, or my back end. But after a while, like I think I grew familiarized with it, and I think it handles better in the snow than your personal vehicle. Like I feel safer driving my bus than I feel, nothing can hit or hurt a bus, except for a bus hurting something else. But it's pretty fun.
Now, obviously, being a bus driver, you have way more passengers than you would in a truck or any other vehicle, really. So, I mean,
that was very nerve-wracking. Like you feel like all eyes are on you, and you're like, oh, I hope they don't notice this bump I'm about to hit up here, because some bumps are hard to avoid, especially in a school bus. But it's like you're thinking that they're constantly like grading your driving, but after a while, you can, you're never supposed to look back in a bus either. Like when you're backing up in a vehicle, you're supposed to go like this to back up. No, you don't do that in the school bus. They have a rear view mirror, and that's your way of looking back. Because even when you have passengers and you want to talk to them while they're talking to you, my habit was at the beginning. You look back to talk to them. You look at them in the face. It's respectful to look at somebody in the eyes when you're talking to them. But
yeah.
No, you're supposed to look at them in the mirror. So, It's very fun and interesting stuff.
That is interesting. See, now that's something that I would have never thought about.
Yeah.
Is the eye contact thing. So very interesting.
You're relying solely on your mirrors. You can't see what's directly behind you when you're backing up in the school bus. So, I mean, if you have a spotter, they'll go, because we have those bus aids. So they go to the back and they watch for you. We call them spotters. So they'll yell clear, and then you'll continue to back up until, But most of the time, your mirrors, you can see almost everything in your mirrors.
I think I have maybe one more question in regards to the bus. I see you checking out that truck. But it's more so kind of like along the lines of the road rage thing. You probably don't do get road rage when you're driving the bus, I would think. But because you're in a bus, I know people do it with semis and stuff. Sometimes they'll cut you off because you might have to drive a little slower or such. I mean, how often does that really happen to you?
All the time, actually. I feel like when you're in a school bus, you're a target. I feel like nobody wants to be behind a school bus. And I'll tell you the truth, when I'm not in a school bus, I don't want to be behind a school bus. But it's like we also have to put in mind that buses don't stop as promptly or as quickly as your personal vehicle.
Much like a semi.
Exactly. And people don't understand, that semi-truck driver just jackhammered his trailer, And that's when your back end is catching up to your front end. And it's like, well, that's because we can't stop. We don't have I don't even know what the correct, terminology is, but it's like our prompt time of stopping in a school bus or a semi-truck isn't the same as your personal vehicle. So
obviously it's because there's more of a load that you're trying to stop, and
especially on different weathers or different rain, snow, slush.
different conditions.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. You guys should always watch out for your buses and your semis. Be very cautious because they can't stop. It's the truth. So, you heard it right here from somebody who actually drives a vehicle such. I'm roasting.
I know.
And the sun's coming out too.
I thought I was the only one.
Woo-wee. Okay, so got a couple more questions here before we let Dennis enjoy the rest of his day without being on camera. Actually, a fun fact, I mean, you guys might not know this, but like Dennis and I used to film skits back in the day.
Pork and beans. I'm gonna eat some.
Hello? I'm looking for my glasses.
Mike, I'm from the future. We need your help.
Really?
Get in! Are you ready for the future?
I mean, this was like years and years and years ago we started doing this, so you should be used to the camera, but it's been a while since I've actually...
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've had the camera out with him.
Well, I actually
We gotta
thought
make
of
time.
one.
See, we still think of things too, we just never actually get them on camera. We don't always have the time anymore.
I thought of it when we were out eating.
Look at
I
this
thought-
guy.
Yeah, speak of the devil.
So actually, we just had that car pull out in front of us, and this actually kind of goes along with the next question. So, do you actually have like any fears while you're driving? Like, is there anything that's like in the back of your mind that you're afraid of, like deer or anything that could happen? Is anything in particular that stands out?
Oh yeah, like I'm always afraid I'm gonna wreck or get hit by another vehicle, or especially in like different weather conditions. It's like I was always on the highway when I was driving before, and I was always afraid that the snow on the side of the road would like suck me in, you know, and I'd hit the guardrail or something. If you think about it a lot, you know, you will start to get paranoid about it.
Mine's deer, honestly. I'm always afraid of deer, or any other animal really, but I know deer can really mess things up. So deer's like the one thing I'm afraid of, especially where I live, the one road. I know I've seen deer there, so I'm always really
Plus, like,
cautious.
I always remember like when people, I can't remember exactly what they said. I think it's either rain or snow, but you know when you're driving at night and they say, "Oh, watch the center line." So you know, remember what they say when you're driving? Watch the center line so that you don't. I can't remember why they say that, but
If it's, I don't know if it's the center line or if it's the line off to the side, the curb line. I think they tell you to watch the curb line, so that way, if you can't see the center line, you can use the curb line as a reference, so you know you're either too far one way or the other. You should always be able to see the curb line, I would think.
yeah.
So I think maybe that's what it was. Either way, I mean, all lines are kind of important if you think about it. Okay, and then I have one more question for Dennis, and this has been my favorite one because up until recently, I will say like four, or no, you're the fifth one, so like 3 out of the 4 people that I've interviewed for this segment have said no, and 1 person said yes, so this has been a very interesting topic. We're heading up to the red light, and if the light turns green, like it did, and we get up there, and it's still green, do you own the intersection to turn left, or do you wait at the line for the light to change and then go when it's
So
like the arrow or something?
Do I race to get to that green light, or
Kind of, like do you sit under the light if the light's green and there's oncoming traffic?
Oh, okay. Do I continue forward in the green light because I know it's going to change, or do I just sit back and let the red light come? Okay.
Yeah. Somebody recently just said that's like owning the intersection. I've never heard that term before, but I like it so.
Actually, I think I do that. I just said doo-doo. But I do that, yeah. Especially like on very busy intersections. It's like I know I'm not going to get out, so it's like I'll sit up there and I'll wait until it turns red and then I'll go, which is probably illegal. You probably shouldn't be doing that.
Well, like I've been telling everybody else, like when I was learning how to drive, that's what I was taught. Like I was taught that, because you're basically in the middle of the intersection at that point. You can't just sit there if the light's red, so you actually have like no choice but to go.
I think, or I think at my employer, I think the policy is that you have to sit through like 2 or 3 lights before you can do that.
Really?
Yeah, because they don't want you to just do it at every single light, because then you look like you're impatient and you're rushing, and you never want to rush in a school bus.
No. Huh, that's interesting. Maybe it's because, if you are in a bus, it's a little bit different. You can't just go, basically, as quickly as you could.
And the question you're asking, I thought you were going, is like, we also have, well, it's not really a policy, but like, there's been instances where you have to run red lights, and that's where like you're coming up on a light, like you're right here, right next to right in front of the white line, and it's turning red. It's like you have to ask yourself when you're driving a school bus, you got 20 clients on behind you. It's like, do I slam on my brakes and have everybody hit the seats, or
yes,
or do I go through it? So you have to judge, whether you should or shouldn't. But they call that, you were dedicated to the light. You were, I can't remember the right terminology, but you chose to go. And that's like, if somebody calls you in the office or reports you, you just say, I was dedicated to that light, which means that there's no other way you could have did it without going through that light.
Yeah.
You thought it was safer to go through the red light than it was, and you'd probably have to tell that to the police officer too, whether it's up to him or not, whether he gives you a ticket. But
because if, like you said, if you were an instance where you just decide to slam on the brakes, people can like fly out of the seats and stuff and get injured.
You'd probably hurt more people than you would helping them,
Exactly. And then, I mean, if the other driver, they're waiting for their green light and they see you still coming, obviously they shouldn't go. They're probably going to let you go anyway, I would think. So.
Unless your name is... which we won't say.
We won't say. Yeah, you guys remember the story about the Sunbird that I had? Well, Dennis was my passenger. He was actually the one sitting up front when we had the accident, so he remembers this person well also.
I still remember her name, but I won't say it.
That was bad. I'm out of questions. Is there anything that you maybe want to sum up before we wrap this up?
I don't know. I mean, I guess you just got one thing I would have to add to it is, especially as a bus driver, I mean, they tell you that you have to learn. If you're becoming a driver or becoming a bus driver, it doesn't matter. If all you want to do is learn to be safe, learn to take your time. I think the toughest or the scariest thing is you're learning to drive and you're wondering what that car ahead of you is doing, what the car behind you is doing. It's good to be aware of your surroundings. You always want to be aware of your surroundings, but what bothered me the most when I started learning was I don't want the car behind me to honk on its horn because I'm too slow for them. When they're teaching you at my employer, they're also saying, yes, you should be aware that you're holding them up, but don't worry about them. Don't worry about them. Don't worry about the car ahead of you. Just take your time and do what you need to do and do it safely. They're going to honk their horns anyways, and chances are you'll never see them again. So just make sure you're doing what you need to do. Be patient and take your time, and you'll learn, and you'll get used to it, and you'll be out there enjoying the drive.
That's definitely one of my biggest things too, is patience is really key when you're driving anything.
It's like that's the best. I think that's the best thing. It's like you can't learn unless you gotta learn the basics first. So you can't learn until you get everything down pat, and then you can't do that if you're constantly worrying about what this car is gonna do, or are they gonna honk at me, or so you just gotta take your time.
That's good advice. I like that. Well, hey, I want to thank you for being a part of this little experiment, I guess, that I've been conducting. So,
Oh, it's my privilege, or my whatever. It was a privilege, I guess. I'm glad that you asked me on.
well, thank you. I appreciate it. And if you guys enjoyed this, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe down below. And also check out Mike's Vehicle Spotlight, which is my official vehicle touring segment that I post right here on this channel also. Again, Dennis, thank you very much.
Thank you.
As for everybody else, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this. I'll see you guys next time, so take care.